Oh, hello? I always start with something in my throat. I think that's a sign of aging. I want to talk, but the first thing that comes out is, um, it's October 10th, 2022. My ex-wife's birthday. Happy birthday, Joan. What a story that is. She had three of my children. We had three children together. Three beautiful, gorgeous, wonderful children, and they're all in their 30s now, which is, in my view, a true accomplishment. All three of them have careers. I know somebody that has a 25-year-old son living at home with them that does nothing except play video games all day, and it's just like, it's heartbreaking. And at a very early age, my daughter is my oldest. She's 37 now, and when she was 15, when I divorced their mother, actually she divorced me. Make sure that's straight. Amanda was 7, Wesley was 5, and my youngest Martin was 2. Imagine, boy. I tell you what, God has thrown some stuff at me in my life, and I just keep on thinking about the book of Job, like, okay, well, we're going to make this guy lose his faith by destroying everything he cares about. And that's an important part of the Bible for me. It's the Old Testament, and God and Satan go in on making a bet about Job. I think that God and Satan were watching football, and they kind of got tired of it, and the beer got flat, and they wanted to come up with something interesting to do. Imagine that, two guys with nothing to do but sit there and think of something to do. So God is doting on Job. Job loves God. Job is faithful. And the devil says, oh, of course, he has all these possessions and all these things going for him, a beautiful family, everybody's healthy, everybody's doing great. Take all that away and see how faithful he is. And God says, okay, you're on. Give me 2-to-1 odds. Something, Anyway, so in my life, what happened recently, like within the past 12 months, is just, I mean, I'm getting therapy, and at the same time, the therapist doesn't really understand because he hasn't gone through anything like this. And it's a psychological warfare, or that is psychological warfare between me and Satan, And I'll tell you what, Satan is packing heat, man. He's got so many ways to make you hate and to rile up the contempt, and contempt. Oh, they're very similar, huh? I meant contempt. Charlie, Oscar, November, Tango, Echo, Michael, that's the important one, Michael, Papa, Tango, contempt. The devil Satan has like these unlimited number of ways that it comes at you from all kinds of different angles and influences your feelings and your emotions about things that are going on in your life. And a lot of times we react in a normal human way, like any human beings would when they're violated or offended, humiliated, embarrassed, insulted by their closest partner, publicly and openly insult. I don't understand how any relationship can survive that. And the relationship I had did not survive. Although afterwards, a year later or so, I started coming in contact with this person again. This is not my ex-wife either; it's somebody else. And I'm not going to get too heavy into it because my videos are long enough. So I've been told. I wanted to talk quickly about. I can go on about what happened to me in the past 12 months, but just suffice it to say that I've known somebody for a long time, was close to this person, and then was reminded how this person was treacherous, insulting, openly, publicly, personally, viciously insulting me. Put those things together, and on top of that, thinking that was okay. Well, she recently passed away, and she'll never know, and I have so many things that are dogging me that I can't change because it's in the past. She'll never know what she did. And that's a significant piece of the tragedy. I hope for you, anybody that's checking me out on YouTube, I hope something like this never happens to you. I still pray for her. I never refer to her in flattering terms. However, I do pray for that person. I can't even use her name anymore. I pray for her in hopes that somewhere in this situation, somewhere in this issue, there's some kind of connection with God. I believe there is. There's too many things that are coincidental for me to think otherwise. I don't believe in coincidence, and I'm sure it does happen sometime or another, but in terms of like pivot points in your life, that it was just a coincidence that that you saw that sign and you responded to the phone number, and then all kinds of amazing things happened from that, or it's just a coincidence that you noticed there was somebody at this minimum wage job that you're doing to pay child support. You noticed somebody at this job as a telemarketing firm, a sweatshop telemarketing firm, minimum wage. You notice somebody's missing on the one given evening, and you ask where they are, and you're told they left the company after they were with the company for over a year and a half, making minimum wage and no benefits. And I knew immediately that that person found something good, and I had failed in that situation because I didn't get his contact information. I never thought that this guy would be the most important person of my life for a career break that would change my life for the rest of my life, change for the better. And it turns out, he got a job at Bell Atlantic. Yeah, that Bell Atlantic from, the 80s and the 90s that changed to Verizon. Anyway, he got this job at Bell Atlantic. I found out a week later, because he never came back to say goodbye or anything like that. And we were kind of close. We worked closely together, and he just didn't even say goodbye to me. He just disappeared. A week later, he comes back, and he's working temporarily back at this sweatshop until he starts his new job at Bell Atlantic. And I asked him, what kind of a gig did he get? And he told me, my jaw dropped, at Bell Atlantic. A couple things I knew immediately. If they hired him, they'd hire me. Pretty sure about that. And they had more money than they could count. They had to count people just to count they had to hire people just to count their money. Wouldn't that be a good problem to have? They had a monopoly. Bell Atlantic had a monopoly up until 1996. And then the federal government passed the U.S. Telecom Act, deregulating. Long distance had been deregulated 16 years before with the showdown between MCI and AT&T. So like in 1981, long distance is deregulated. But all the local calling is still regulated and predetermined. And it's a monopoly. It's the truest definition. It's the most accurate, genuine definition of a monopoly that I've ever seen. And all of a sudden, this guy gets into the company. I want to know why. And so I get the contact information. I go and interview. I didn't even have to fill out an application. I didn't have to fill out an application. I brought a resume with me, but it turns out that Bell Atlantic lost their monopoly in 1996 with the passing of the Telecom Act. Bill Clinton signed it, but it was sponsored by a Republican senator, congressman out in Utah or something like that. But anyway, they decided to get rid of the monopoly. We can make local calling competitive now. Well, Bell Atlantic got caught with their pants down. They weren't ready for it. And so they looked at their money, and they decided their biggest profit margin was in the small to medium business sector. So they created this channel of account managers to reach out to their small and medium business accounts and develop relationships, because they were going to be able to leave soon. Up until then, there was one way to get telephone service, through Bell Atlantic or through Bell Atlantic. There was no choice. And customer service, you don't like the way I'm talking to you? Oh, well, that's a shame. You should go to our competition and see how they treat you. Oops. We don't have any competition. It's me and my way or the highway. And I had that experience a number of times with Bell. That's just the nature of a monopoly. That's just the way, they evolved. They kind of company entity that they evolve into. So I go for the interview, and I can't tell you all the things that were so good about this experience. Every little thing was just, for me, wonderful and new. And so I meet the person that does the hiring, and she says, after talking for a while, we got along great. She says, okay, I'm going to call you tomorrow night at 8 o'clock at your place, and we're going to do an impromptu, we're going to do a role play over the phone. And I said, okay, and she gave me an outline telling me what to do and what to say. I didn't have to think about it, but I'm still on pins and needles because at 46 years old, man, this is my last shot at a really good money-making career. I had a good career, but didn't make enough money yet. And I had child support that was just going up and up. Anyway, and that's fine. I have no trouble with child support, just for the record. So she calls me the next night at 8 o'clock, and she pretends to be a business owner doing business with Bell, and there were some information I had to get from her. And all of 10 minutes, like a phone call of 10 minutes, and it was over. She said, that was really good. We'd like to hire you to start in the class on the 24th, which was 2 weeks away. And I said, a class? And she goes, yeah. And I had to ask her right away. I said, is this a paid training thing? And she goes, yeah, we're going to pay you X number of dollars, which I was making the minimum wage, and this figure that she gave me was a 60% raise. I just met her yesterday. And in addition to that, I didn't have any medical benefits for my kids at the time, and they weren't even living with me, but they didn't have any medical insurance, and I was stressed about that. And I said, well, anything else? She goes, yeah, you get full medical benefits starting the day you start with us for you and your family. I was like, oh, wow. I called you 2 days ago making minimum wage on 80 hours a week, no benefits. 3 days later, I'm in Bell Atlantic. Well, it was a company that was outsourced by Bell because Bell had no idea what they were doing. They got a telemarketing firm to run this channel, set up and run this channel. Then they would take it over later. But anyway, so yeah, I go from minimum wage nothing to representing a Fortune 100 company. And on my business card, it has the Bell Atlantic logo with a wave and everything, and then my email address. And it was just incredible. The number of coincidental things that could have gone the other way leading up to this final score of this gig. I don't know. I always go over this in my head, and there's, you could go back a year or a year and a half. Coincidence. Oh, good thing that happened. Coincidence. Oh, if that didn't happen, then I wouldn't have gotten the deal. Oh, another thing, and another thing, and another thing. It was like this progression of dominoes that had to fall in order for me to get this deal, get this gig. Coincidence? Nope. It was God. And I can explain that more, and I will maybe in a later video. But God definitely had a role in what was happening to me there. And it's so bizarre. Not many people will understand it because, being a single parent, paying child support, your children are not living with you. I see them every other weekend. And, and you're paying money to somebody that used to be my wife, but for a period of time, she was not my wife. Well, she was an adversary, I guess you could say. And I think that's normal, though I didn't let my children be exposed to that. For me, anyway. There's no way I'm going to, try to make them understand the problems that I had with their mother. It's just a hard thing to explain, but they're not interested, really. They just want to be loved. They want to know that they're loved, and they want to be loved. And that's the experience of a child. Anyway, I'm going to let you go. I got to finish my workout. I'm halfway through my workout this morning. It's, it's a good thing I'm working out at 71. People ask me, well, why do you bother about doing all those, exercises? I said, I do it because I can. There's going to be a day not too far away that I won't be able to do that. So while I can, I'm going to keep doing it. Anyway, I hope you guys are doing well. I hope you have some happiness in your life. I think about the things that you want out of life. Love. But love leads to happiness, or happiness leads to love. I'm not sure. Not sure about love. I know when I'm happy, but I'm not sure about love because I thought somebody loved me, and it was a fraud. It was a big fraud. A long-term fraud. I try to find good things to say about that situation. There aren't any. There aren't any. If you've been caught in a fraudulent relationship, it's not really a relationship then. It was more of an arrangement, I guess you could say, or an understanding after this incident. It was an understanding and an arrangement that, okay, yeah, we'll kind of be there as acquaintances for each other, but nothing more than that. That's all. And of course, you want more than that out of the time you have in your life. The time you have, by the way, and young people don't understand this, it's a shame. The time you have is the most valuable asset in your possession. It's finite. You're going to run out of it. There's no two ways about it. You have a limited supply of time while you're here. So your time and your health are the two most important and valuable assets that you have. You can add on to that, hopefully, get some wealth too, time, health, and wealth. But time and health, the time that you have here and the health of while you're here, there isn't anything more important than that. I hope you have a good, healthy day, and I hope it's a good Monday for all of you. Goodbye.